And we'll flip one more to see, look at that.
That's a great picture, isn't that?
Yeah, I know we need to go to a break, but let's talk about this very quickly.
Well, it's Sidney Poitier, Harry Belafonte, and Charlton Heston in a civil rights march. And basically, because of the work that I claim that Eddie Rochester Anderson did, the toe in the water, made a big splash against racism, so that in the future, a person like Sidney Poitier would win an Academy Award for Best Actor and would have that opportunity, and not playing what you call an African-American role, but just a role, a great role,
exactly,
in Lilies of the Field in 1960.
Exactly. This is the March on Washington.
That's right.
The beginning of such a turbulent time.
And they're standing, and you can't see it in this picture,
is
but
that the Lincoln Monument?
They're actually at the Lincoln Monument.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a wonderful photograph.
Amazing, amazing.
And it's in my book, so I'm real proud of that.
So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll tell you how you can purchase a copy of Forgotten Hollywood, Forgotten History, and just kind of keep tabs on Manny. We'll do that in about 2 minutes. It's Midday Sunday. Our guest today, Manny Pacheco, DJ, great guy extraordinaire, and also the author of the new book, Forgotten Hollywood, Forgotten History. Now, we don't want to give away too much here, but you are maybe kind of beginning work on something that deals with Hispanics in film?
That's right. It's going to be actually a son of Forgotten Hollywood, Forgotten History. But the idea is that I didn't tackle Hispanics, but I did tackle minorities in general in one of my chapters. But I really feel that it's important to note that also Latinos and Mexicans and Hispanics also fought against the studio policy of looking at Hispanics back then, the same way that General Pershing saw in his chase against Pancho Villa with the big bullets and the big sombrero, and basically people like Cesar Romero and Gilbert Roland.
Well, let's look at a couple of photographs here. There he is.
Yes, he basically, when he decided, and he had a very long career, by the way.
And let's just do it right for once, Cesar Romero.
That's right. And let me tell you something about him. He appeared in movies like The Thin Man and, of course, Ocean's 11 opposite the Rat Pack. But when he was in the Cisco Kid, he decided that he would actually approach the management of Fox and say, look, if we're going to do the Cisco Kid, let's do it like as a hero, as an alternative, like a Lone Ranger for Latinos. And, you know, to their credit, they went with it, and the Cisco Kid was a very, very popular serial with Cesar Romero, with Gilbert Roland, with Duncan Ronaldo for years to come.
Right, exactly. We've got a more familiar face, at least for younger viewers.
Desi Arnaz was a pioneer in television. And for a lot of reasons. Number one, for the I Love Lucy show, he developed the 3-camera angle. It's still used today in episodic television in front of a live audience. The other thing that he did, as the head of Desilu Productions, he was in charge of great shows like The Untouchables and The Real McCoys and R. Miss Brooks. And he was the first successful actor to stand down the House Un-American Activities Committee when they accused Lucille Ball of being a communist. And when he suggested that the only thing red about Lucy was her hair, in front of a live audience, they basically they were stood down and they left him alone, and I Love Lucy went on to become a very memorable show.
As it should have been, and we're talking, of course, about the McCarthy era, and
that's right.
It's just a terrible time in this country's history. Moving ahead, we have one more. The guy with his back to us is...
my favorite actor, Spencer Tracy, but he's with Katie Jurado, and I got to tell you, she was the first Latina, first Mexican actually, to be nominated for an Academy Award in 1954. And by the way, I want you to know, we talked about Sidney Poitier earlier about being the first African-American to win an Academy Award, major award, best male actor in Lilies of the Field. Actually, he's preceded by 13 years. Jose Ferrer won an Academy Award for the Cyrano de Bergerac, and he was the first minority to actually win a Best Actor Award.
See, I always think of him as Rosemary Clooney's husband, with a great deal of envy.
That's right. but Katie
Jurado,
yeah, that's right. She would do strong roles. She was very adamant about playing strong roles in westerns, playing the wife of Spencer Tracy, and also was in High Noon. Opposite Gary Cooper, and didn't back down. She was a very, very strong-willed actress. Another actor that really did a lot that I'm going to talk about is Cantinflas.
Mario Moreno.
That's right, Mario Moreno. And I got to tell you, I'm really proud of him because he had just a couple of roles in America, but in Mexico, of course, he's revered.
Sure.
And I will tell you that he started a group for up-and-coming Latinos, much the same way that Lee Strasberg did in the 50s for Montgomery Clift and
Marilyn Monroe.
Exactly, for these great actors, James Dean and Marlon Brando. And he basically started the realism for Chicano movement in the 60s, and people like Raul Julia and Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz and Selma Hayek owe a lot to Cantinflas. So.
Sure. Absolutely. And the list goes on.
Right. And we're talking about Cinco de Mayo, so we've got to make sure we mention that.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's, see, the brain goes blank, but there were so many beautiful women and extraordinarily handsome men who, in the 30s, for example, were major players in Hollywood films.
That's right.
Now, that's a book to come.
That's right.
Son. Now we need to talk though about some other stuff. You're involved in a lot of activities that help the communities.
That's right.
That well, to put it in one way, have listened to you for a long time.
Well, one of the things that I'm going to do, and using the book as a vehicle, for example, I'm going to be at the Latino Book and Family Festival in October, and my good friend, 8-term Congressman Esteban Torres, is opening up a school in East LA, and I'm going to donate my book to his library at the school,
of course,
which I'm very happy to do. And I'm going to be at the El Segundo Authors Fair in June. We donate $1 of every book sales to the Moose Heart residential child care facility based out of Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a school for at-risk kids of all nationalities to help them through all ages of schooling, to prepare them for college or just real life in blue-collar and white-collar jobs. So every $1 for every book that's sold goes to Moose Heart, which I'm really proud of.
That's the reason to go out and buy a whole bunch of them and give them away as birthday presents, Christmas gifts.
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, exactly.
Father's Day, exactly. Yeah,
so. Should we straighten out, since we're dealing with Cinco de Mayo? It's not Mexican Independence Day, folks.
No, that's a little battle. Not very important in the scheme of things. Mexican Independence Day, of course, is September.
Yeah, as I always advise people, if you're in Mexico and you want to go have a real rip-snorting time celebrating Cinco de Mayo, go to a bar with a lot of Americans in it. Because Mexico, effectively, outside of maybe Puebla, which is where the battle began.
That's right.
Outside of that, nobody cares. And it's essentially celebrates the beginning of the expulsion of French forces and Maximilian and his... And you know, and his girlfriend Carlota.
The sad thing is, Maximilian was a benevolent dictator, but benevolent or not, he was still a dictator.
He was still a dictator, and they were in Mexico.
Right.
Napoleon was trying to collect money that he had loaned to Mexico.
And you know, I tell that story because the book, actually the movie Juarez, guess who played Napoleon? It was Claude Rains, great actor. His wife was Betty Davis.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I didn't know that. I guess that's right. That's true. That's right. Anyway, Cinco de Mayo, not Mexican Independence Day.
That's right.
But you talk about some of these. What's the Treasure of Sierra Madre with
Humphrey Bogart?
With Humphrey Bogart and badges. Badges? I don't need no stinking badges. You know, it's a shame that things like that are the best remembered part of films, as interesting as that one was. Well,
I'll tell you, this is why I tell America's story through the eyes of these great character actors, because really there's a lot of stories like that, stories about minorities, stories about disability, things that are not taught to students, and that's what I try to do with my book. Yeah. And that's why my book, actually, I was very pleased, it won the USA Book News Best Book Award for 2009 in the History, Media, Entertainment category.
Congratulations.
Very happy about that. I'm also pleased to say that my book is now in the hallowed and prestigious shelves of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences Library.
Oh, yeah.
It's also in the American Film Institute Library, the Louis B. Mayer Library, and the Writers Guild Foundation Library. And my book also made its way to the Paley Center for Media in Beverly Hills, so I'm really proud of that.
Boy, oh boy, congratulations.
Yeah.
On that high note, let's take a break. We'll be right back.